Hi there, I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent training. Welcome to our live question and answer class. I host this class each Saturday, and I take your questions regarding American English pronunciation, American accent, and more. My apologies for being late today. I was having some internet issues, so I hope that you'll find me and join me. In the beginning, while we're getting started, I'm going to talk a little bit about vowel A and vowel O. I had a request for help with the words lawn versus loan. So we'll talk a little bit about these vowel sounds and spelling, give you some contrast pairs to work on, and talk about resources you can learn more. Do feel free to leave your questions at any time in the chat. I'll answer them after talking about this topic. And if you're watching this as a replay, you can leave questions and comments in the comments. I do always go back and respond to those. I may cover your words or questions in a new video, or I may already have a video or resource for you. So when we're talking about ah and o, these are both rounded vowels, and they have some similarities and some differences. You can see for the ah vowel that there's just one symbol. We often spell ah with aw. We also can spell it with au, like in taught or caught. And when I'm saying ah, my jaw is fairly open and my lips are rounded. This vowel is the one that sometimes people in the US has merged a little bit with the ah vowel. So when people are saying saw, they may not always be that rounded. They may say it a little bit like saw. I saw it, I saw it. So that's something I've covered in several other videos. So you can look for my video with the caught merger for help with that. Just know that when we're talking about ah words, the spelling is often au or aw, and that you need some rounding there. When we're talking about the o, notice how we have two symbols for o. O in English is a diphthong, meaning it slides from one mouth position to another in order to say it. So I'm not saying an o and an separately. It's the sound that comes out when I move between those two mouth positions, o. For most people who are non-native speakers, just thinking of O and making sure that you're holding it long enough is enough to get this sound. Basically, you're starting in the O position that's probably the same as your native language, and then just closing and relaxing a little bit as you go. So I often talk about words like so, or particularly the word no. Hold it a little longer, no, and relax and close as you say it so that it doesn't sound just like no. Often if you say no with just an O, an American listener might think something's wrong. It sounds abrupt, it sounds short, maybe you're upset or angry. Really, you're just saying the O vowel from your native language. You want to lengthen a little bit and relax as you go. It'll sound more natural, and you won't get a funny look from your American listener. Okay, so when I'm saying O versus ah, you could see when I say O, I'm rounding and closing. When I say ah, I'm not quite as round, and also my jaw is more open. So on the vowel quadrangle that we often talk about in videos about vowels, we have the O is in this tense area and it moves to the lax. So that's our O vowel, like in loan. And then for our ah vowel, we are in the lax area and our jaw is more open. So up here we have oo like boot, o like boat, ah like bot, and then finally ah like bot. You can get more help for these kinds of vowel contrasts, understanding this diagram, understanding spelling and sounds of English in our Sounds of English course on speechmodification.com, also in our vowels playlist here on YouTube. Okay, so if we're looking at loan versus lawn, for loan, I can also think about it like loan. Sometimes people seeing that W spelling can help them think about closing for the O versus lawn. I'm really staying much more open on that. For that particular contrast or any of these contrasts, you can also use another word like a dog on the lawn and no loan. So using no and dog, which sound quite different. Or I saw a lawn. I'm going to phone for the loan, or no loan. Being able to kind of use that vowel in another word. I'm not usually going to have trouble between saw and no. Not nearly as much as I would between lawn and loan, or fawn and phone. Okay, thank you for this request. Go ahead and leave your questions and comments in the chat, and I'll get to those next. And again, my apologies for our late start today. Internet issues sometimes get in the way of something like a live stream. Okay, we have a question about the word towel. So let's look at towel. I do have a video for towel, and I can direct you to that after class. I'll put a comment and in the description for this video some links for relevant information. Towel has the ow diphthong, which we write in IPA with these two symbols. And then we have for the EL, towel, we have the schwa and the L. As I move from the ow to the L, towel, there's a little bit of a gliding w in there. So thinking about it like saying ow, towel, wool. You can also think about the W going more on the last part and thinking about the word wool, towel. Similar to the word vowel. Oftentimes people struggle with moving from this ow to the and getting that w connecting gliding sound in there. Yeah, that's a good word. Thank you so much. Let's see. We have another question about the words entourage and meringue. So let me go ahead and talk about those for you. So for entourage, even though it has the word tour, the spelling of the word tour in it, we don't have an ur in this. We have the first syllable stress. En is the French on, so it would be better to think about it like ahn. It's the ah vowel. Entourage. Ah, another ah. Okay, so first syllable stress, on. Then we just have a schwa here, and the R can go in the last syllable with the zh sound. So this zh sound, we say it in words like garage. We also say it in words like measure or visual. It's often spelled with a letter S. It's like the SH sound, but our voice is on. So think of it as entourage, sh, and then put your voice on, raj, j, entourage. Yes, that's a really good word. Thank you for that request. And then we have a question about the word meringue. Another one where spelling is misleading. Words that come in from French or other languages are going to hold on to some of the elements of the native of the language it came from, but then be changed because they're in English, so the spelling is not very helpful. In meringue, we have second syllable stress, and it's just like the word rang, like I rang the bell. And then because the first syllable is unstressed, you're going to either have an I there, a mi rang, or a ma. I'm going to write it as ma, meringue. IPA would be, maybe they would use the I there, the a vowel, and the ng sound, meringue. So as in she baked a meringue, there was a lemon meringue pie. Yeah, great request. Thank you. Okay, let's take a look at, please do feel free to leave your questions here in the chat and I'll cover them. We'll look at a few recent requests since there aren't a lot of comments and questions so far from you guys. So we had a question about the word buffet. So buffet, another French one. Second syllable stress. Letter E says the A vowel, and the T is silent. And then we have the first syllable has our schwa, so buffet. So eating at the buffet. We also have a word buffet, like buffet against the wind. I think it has the same spelling, and that's more of a, we do say the T, and it's more like buffet, a buffeting wind. Yeah, but I think we're more commonly using the noun buffet to mean a bar where we're eating or a place that we're eating. Okay, and then we had a request for the word, the plural of cactus, cacti. I think you can also say cactuses. I remember reading something about this, but the request was for cacti, so we'll talk about that. So we have in both cactus and cacti and cactuses, letter A says the A, black cat vowel. So we would have cacti. In this CT blend or the KT blend, if I was just saying a word like fact or tact, I would say that k and the t sound, fact, tact. But in cacti, we have kind of an unreleased K there, cacti, and then my T is going to be somewhat unaspirated. So it sounds a little bit like a D. I don't want to do all the way cacti, not a strong D, but you don't want cacti either. No, we don't let any air out on either the K or the T. So it's a little bit strange, so I can see why this request was made. Thinking about it like don't let that out, and then cacti. Thinking of this one as a little bit like a D, cacti. Or you could say cactuses, which is a little easier. In that case, we do cactuses. We don't let out the K, but we do have a puff of air on the T. Cactuses. Cactuses. Don't quote me on that for sure about those plurals. I will need to look that up to be certain that both plurals are okay. But in casual speech, if you're a scientist studying the cactus plant, you want to learn which plural is correct and use that. Otherwise, it probably doesn't matter so much in conversational speech. Okay, we have a question about the words thwart and toward, and whether they're different. And yes, they are. So in the word thwart, we have the TH sound in the beginning together with the W. That's a little unusual combination. So thinking of thwar, letters AR say the or. When there's a W before AR, like in warm or war, then we have the or sound. And then we're going to probably have an unreleased T there, thwart. You can say thwart and let your T out as well. But in toward, we have a T sound. It does otherwise have similar sounds. Again, our AR is going to be an or, but we also have a voiced D sound. So if I say thwart and I don't let that T out, I'm going to be sort of shorter on the vowel. If I say toward, I either can say the D, toward, and you'll hear that there's a D there, or I'm going to hold that vowel longer. When we're looking at words like bet versus bed, even if I'm using an unreleased stop on the ends of those, this one is shorter vowel and this one is longer vowel. That's how you're able to hear if I'm saying bet or bed. Same thing with thwart or toward. You can hear the difference in the T and the D with the length of the vowel. They're also different because the thwart has the TH with the tongue between the teeth, and toward has the released T, toward, with the tongue behind the teeth. I believe I have a video for toward. I don't have one for thwart, but Thank you. That's a good question and a good point that you brought up today. Okay, so thanks so much for being here today. A little bit of a shorter class because we had such a late start due to my internet issues. That should be resolved for tomorrow's word of the day as well as next Saturday's class. If you're checking this out later and you didn't have a chance to ask your question, feel free to ask, to leave a comment with your question. And I have a question for you, which is, what are some of the words that you find most difficult, even though you know how to say them? They're hard to use in conversational speech. Next week, we can talk a little bit about words where you know how to pronounce it, but you still maybe avoid saying that word, or it still comes out incorrectly when you're talking, how to practice on words where you understand how it should be pronounced, but it's still difficult for you. And of course, you can always leave requests for other words, things you'd like to see me cover in a Word of the Day series. If you have questions about our online courses, our Sounds of English course, or our Real Talk course, or our American Accent courses, do leave a comment about those as well. I can direct you to some information about that. And in some future Saturday classes, I'll be offering or gifting some channel memberships. So YouTube now allows me to purchase gifts to give to my viewers. And many of you are here week after week leaving requests and comments. So I wanted to give you a heads up that that's an option where I do sell channel memberships. You can join, make a purchase, and have some extra perks like some members only videos, a members only class, and some other resources for channel members. Those of you who are channel members, thanks so much for your support. And if you're interested in getting a gift channel membership from me, you need to make sure to turn on the ability to accept gifts, so you can check that out on our community page. I made a little note about that this week. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to share the channel memberships and to offer you some gifts. So I hope that you'll check that out. Keep coming back to class and let me know if you're interested, if you have questions about channel membership or about gifts. Okay, thanks everyone for a great class today. I look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's Word of the Day class as well as next Saturday's live question and answer class. I'm Christine Dunbar from SpeechModification.com. Remember, if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can do it. SpeechModification.com. Bye everyone. Thanks for a great class.